Title: Shadows of the Mind. The evening light waned as Sarah stepped into her grandmother's once vibrant home, now a shadow of its former self. Dust danced in the air like ghosts, spurred by the echoes of forgotten laughter. She had come to clear out the clutter that had piled up over the years, to tidy up what had become a sanctuary of confusion and chaos since her grandmother began to forget, then completely lose, her grip on reality. At first, Sarah had thought her grandmother's forgetfulness was a normal part of aging, perhaps a little bit of dementia creeping in. But soon, the disjointed conversations became disturbing. Her grandmother spoke of events that never occurred, of people who weren't there. One day she had raged about a man lurking in the shadows, a figure only she could see. Another day, she had asked Sarah to help her find her own mother, who had passed away decades earlier. "You must believe me, Sarah. He's here, and he wants to take me away. You can't let him," her grandmother had begged, her voice trembling as she gripped Sarah's hand hard enough to leave bruises. Despite the sinking dread in her gut, Sarah had tried to assure her, but the worry wound tightly around her heart like a noose. She needed to help her grandmother. She would bring in doctors, therapists, anyone who could restore the peace that had long abandoned this household. Today, Sarah was armed with garbage bags and a hefty amount of resolve. The task ahead of her was daunting, but she pushed through the cobwebs and the dust, bending down to pick up a framed photo of her grandmother from better days, shining in a garden of flowers bathed in light. The vibrant essence of life, a far cry from the shadows inhabiting this house now. As she worked, however, it became harder to ignore the feeling of being watched. Or rather, not just watched, but hunted. A weight pressed on Sarah's chest as she moved about the house, driven more by anxiety than productivity. Strange noises creaked from the corners, something whispering just out of earshot. "Must be the wind," she mumbled to herself as she scratched her nails against the wooden floor. Night fell, and the house transformed. The once familiar sunlight retreated, shrouding everything in inky darkness, every corner harboring creatures of shadow. She realized it was foolish to be alone in a house where her grandmother had experienced such terror. But the job had to be done, she told herself. Then, in the silence, she heard it, a soft humming, the melody hauntingly familiar. Her grandmother used to sing that lullaby to her when she was a child. Following the sound, she stepped into the dimly lit hallway, where memories twisted like spirals of smoke. The walls seemed to sway as she felt a chill draft rush over her shoulder. As she approached the living room, the humming grew louder, intertwining with soft, delirious whispers. The shadows danced along the walls, and for a moment, her heart thundered in her ears. "Gran?" she called, stepping into the gloom. In the center of the room stood her grandmother, rocking back and forth in a moth-eaten armchair that creaked with age. Her white hair framed her face like a halo, but her eyes were wild, an unrecognizable frenzy stirring in their depths. "There he is, Sarah, there he is," she shrieked suddenly, pointing a frail finger into the obsidian void behind Sarah. "He's coming. You have to stop him." Sarah scanned the darkness behind her but saw nothing. "Gran, there's no one. Don't lie to me. He's there. You can't let him take me." Her grandmother's face twisted in desperation, tears streaming down her weathered cheeks. Panic rose within Sarah as she turned to face the shadows. They seemed to pulsate and undulate, bending and twisting as if alive. There was no denying the chilling sensation of being surrounded. She shook her head, trying to snap free of that growing confusion. "Gran, it's okay. Focus on me. Just breathe." Quote. But the shadows whispered louder now, and Sarah felt dizzy as fragmented thoughts swirled in her mind. Was it real? Had the terror spread from her grandmother into her, gnawing at her sanity? "You must help me, Sarah," her grandmother wailed, and the shadows that enveloped her began to seep toward Sarah, cold and clammy, like icy fingers wrapping around her throat. The room spun, and Sarah staggered back. Murmurs brushed against her ears like 1,000 voices. "Let her go. She belongs to us." Quote. "No, I won't let you take her," Sarah screamed, adrenaline surging as she felt the clawing darkness drawing nearer. She lunged toward her grandmother, grasping her shoulders. In that frantic moment, something cracked in her mind, like glass shattering. Visions flooded her, her grandmother in various stages of decline, memories twisted beyond recognition. The shadows were no longer just behind her, they were weaving into her thoughts. She felt the weight of time and memory slithering through her brain, and she understood. The torment was suffocating. With one last surge of desperation, she grabbed the photo she had set down earlier, a testament to the vibrant woman her grandmother once was. Staring into it, she whispered, "We will not be taken. Remember who you are." Quote, the shadows hissed, recoiling from the light of the photograph. Somehow, amidst her encroaching madness, recognition sparked in her grandmother's eyes. "Hold on to me, Sarah. We will fight, together." Quote, and together, they groped against the creeping shadows, standing side by side, tethered to their frail memories. In the closing darkness, they felt something stir, an ally, a flickering flame against the darkness. They would not succumb, they would not be forgotten. That night, the house trembled with a cacophony of memories, some sweet and others unfathomably bitter. There would be more battles to come in the depths of their minds, journeys into the shadows they could not ignore. But in each other, they would find strength, a beacon amid the chaos, battling the encroaching darkness that sought to consume them both.